navisanga akizile vitu tulifanya kabla ubadilishe namba. Bado usemanga mini psycho, bado mipiganga simu yako, nilideletingi namba yako, lakini nakumbukanga kwa moyo yo. And I just can't explain, thought to you and me keep going up and down in my brain. And you were looking for some love, didn't care for the fame. I was looking for a good time playing the game, yeah. Now you're stuck in my lane, moving in together, baby, it was never the same. Oh, it's such a shame, kila saa tunagombana, lini tutaelewana, tutatumalize, kinachokwaza, baby ziandike, punguza drama, baby zitushike, washa kishada, I don't wanna argue, kauko sawa, miko sawa, kauko sawa, miko sawa. Zile vitu tulifanya ukanishukisha namba, natona misi hiki tanda vile visa na visanga. Zile vitu tulifanya kabla ubadilishe namba. Uko sawa, miko sawa, niko sawa. Zile vitu tulipanga, ukanishukisha namba, natona misi hiki tanda, vile visa na visanga. Zile vitu tulifanya, kabla ubadilishe namba.
Beautiful, beautiful sounds there coming from Grace Nyokabi and of course with the help of Sam Ochi. Guys, thank you for being part of this Feel Good Friday show here on Your World, even as we mark this festive season that we are walking into. But then again, it's also a time of the year where we take time to have introspection, you know, look at the year that has been, planned for the year that's coming, and therein there are many questions we are bound to ask ourselves. And today would like you to consider this one. Why on earth are you here? And the reason is we understand that a legacy is something we've had before, but even going by what I had heard other guys say when I asked them, what do you want to be remembered for? They think that has to do with inheritance. Does it really? Well, let's hear from our panel today as we try and figure out what exactly creating a lasting legacy is all about. And Agatha, from where you sit, what do you think a legacy is?
A legacy, in my opinion, is living a full life without worrying how you will be remembered. I take a very contrarian view to these buzzwords that we've been talking about. You need to leave a legacy. If you're not L-I-V-I-N-G, leaving a legacy, there's no way you will leave a legacy. So for me, leaving a legacy is being intentional about how you live every day and how you treat people around you and how you make other humans comfortable who are sharing the same space as you are, i.e. Earth.
Oh, wow, that's a good perspective. Peril.
I think what I would say is a legacy for me is walking in the consciousness that I am mortal. And there's an expiry date. And because that is the reality, then what am I going to leave behind? What difference am I going to make? What contribution am I going to give to the next generation? Because they are all subject to the choices I make now. So for me, that's, I think, what I would look at in terms of a legacy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Njeri?
For me, a legacy is the number of lives that you touch, right? I believe that we are not here by accident. We are an assignment, right? So our purpose is to find out what our assignment is and then accomplish and finish our assignment and finish it well, right? Now, legacy to me is not about me, it's about others. We are very self-centered. We are always about, oh, how can I benefit? How can I benefit from this? If I do this, now I'm here on NTV, people are seeing me, so now it's all about me. It's very, we are living in that kind of a society. It's vanity, pure vanity. We are thinking about ourselves so much in this day and age that we forget it's not about me. It's about the people around me, it's about my children, it's about society, it's about the nation, it's about the world, and how I can leave the world a better place.
Very well said, very well said. I think that gives you perspective about why we need to have this conversation and perhaps the questions you need to be asking yourself even as you draw close to this year. And that question of the day again to you, what would you want to be remembered for? Talk to us. That hashtag is new normal. Now, Agatha, tell me this. You are the co-founder and story curator of Engage Kenya. When you say it's about how you live your life imparting those around you, how has this platform enabled you to do so?
You know, for me, Engage has given me more, I think, than it has given other people. I have worked with over 500 people who've told their story on the Engage platform and in different places that are not as public. But it's given me a really broad view of different people from different cultures, from different socioeconomic backgrounds. But I've come to realize that human beings want the same things. We want to be loved, we want to be appreciated, we want to be treated with respect, and we want not to be hurt. Very simple. So for me, it has given me a consciousness to be less judgmental, because when you don't know someone, it's very easy to judge, and to be kinder, to be more generous to anyone and everyone, because we all have a story, and while we will not all tell our story, we all want the same things. We really all want the same things.
Now, Peril, you work with SMEs most often than not, but of course you engage individuals. What's the thing you have seen people struggle with trying to establish their purpose, so to speak?
That's an interesting question, because when we work with SMEs, you see them struggle basically to put food on the table. That's the first thing that just comes across. Startups, people who are running their own businesses, business owners. And so in the process of doing that, from where I come in, we use what we call the village concept, where we talk about that it takes a village to raise a child. And so as you look at these SMEs, they come in through the door. The organization, of course, the bigger house is called Sandbox, where I'm seated as an expert in terms of leadership development. And you begin to see they are struggling with all these issues. Now you want to unite them to a bigger picture, meaning, significance, and telling them that beyond the food, beyond survival, beyond everything you're doing, there are deeper questions that you need to address. And some of those issues are not easy for them to address, because they deal with some very raw places. They have come from backgrounds, orientations, where some of them don't even want to go to those spaces. They are in circumstances right now that are very, very disempowering. It could be the nation, it could be the economy, it could be some laws, it could be realities that they are facing, you know. And so by the time you're meeting this SME owner or this group of people and trying to talk to them about destiny, legacy, what it means to be a leader, they are absent. And so you kind of have to bring them to that space. And you kind of have to introduce the subject, and eventually they begin to see how powerful and important that subject is. So in a sense, it can be kind of frustrating, yeah, because these are not questions we talk about every day. And in my view, I think these are things we need to bring to the table on a daily basis.
I'd like
because they are
to
key.
know. I'd like to know what these questions you talk about that are pertinent for all of us to actually come face to face with. But hold off on that thought. And Njeri, you also work with leaders, and they say, as I had mentioned, most people think you need the wealth, you need the clout for you to leave a legacy that people talk about. That's not the case, is it?
That's not true. That's not true. I think we've grown up in a society where let me put it this way, our minds, our greatest downfall. We have been cultured or fashioned in such a way to believe certain things belong to certain people. Right? Now, my core, or what I do on a daily basis, I work with leaders to transform their minds. Once a person's mind is transformed, their way of thinking, the way they see things, they can be anything. Now, the greatest challenge that I find with a lot of people is they come and say, oh, okay, I want to find my purpose. Why am I here? And I tell them, okay, that's fine. So, for instance, if I told you, Gladys, your purpose is to, for instance, to be an agriculturalist and produce food for Kenya. So now you know. Then what? So what? Right? I say purpose is an end. Right? But before we get to purpose, we have to begin somewhere. And the place that I always tell people, we have to start at a place people don't want to necessarily start. And this is going to the matope,
the murky areas.
The murky areas, and we go and start, undoing, the process of undoing what your mother said, what your father said, what they didn't say, what your teacher said. So everybody, right, your relationships, we go in there and we undo all those things. You find that there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of baggage. You are told you cannot be this by your teacher, and it has lasted with you for 50 years. Right? Now, the greatest challenge is getting people to then cross over and discover, who am I? Who am I outside of what my father says, my earthly father? Who am I outside of what my earthly mother says? It is to discover, who am I based on what my heavenly Father says I am. So getting people to now get to that place, that is where the awakening begins. And they're like, okay, I didn't know this is who I was. That's interesting. It's very difficult and painful, because it's earth-shattering almost. But then if you're able to transition from that to get to a place of, okay, now I know who I am, then now we go into, why am I here? So then we discuss the purpose. And then, what can I do to leave the world better than I found it?
Very well said. Now, Agatha, I'll throw this to you so that we get practical. It doesn't sound like we're having a conversation that's very theoretical. We are living this life we're talking about. Agatha, before Engage Kenya, you've held different positions in life, and of course, you've worked your way to where you are today. What are the things that you've learned along the way that perhaps illuminated your purpose, the reason why you're here, and perhaps ended you up with what you're doing at Engage Kenya?
So the first time I sat in a boardroom with business moguls, I felt very small. And we were sitting on this table as peers, people who own large manufacturing concerns and are CEOs at blue chip companies. I walked in thinking, wow, I don't know what I can bring to this table. But I am here also as a CEO. And I listened. And at the end of the meeting, I'm like, those people are not as sharp as I think they are. and they're not foolish, but I got the sense they're human.
Yeah.
In this boardroom where we were brainstorming on something, we all had ideas and they were all valid. And the second meeting, the same. So by the third meeting, I realized these people who are owning large companies or CEOs, they have been favored by God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. I do not say you must subscribe to one, but they've been favored. But number two, they have believed in themselves more than the rest. And they have not been afraid of failure. So for me, those were the biggest lessons. I cannot, with any measure of honesty, say when I was in primary school, I knew I was going to be a CEO and I was going to co-found my company. I probably had such dreams after high school. I knew I wanted to do big things. I couldn't tell you what big things are. But I have come to realize that if you do everything that is presented to you to the best of your ability, the next thing opens up. And that's what I was saying. I'm cautious to use find your purpose. You have one purpose. If I had one purpose, I'd still be in a boardroom. If I had one purpose, I would still be reviewing advocacy papers and meeting with government to discuss private sector development. But I believe that the next thing that we need to do that is calling us, there's a beautiful poem by Rumi that says, seek out what is calling you, but you need to be silent to find what is calling you. And the next thing that you're doing opens up. We are not one thing. And I like Njeri's example of, if I told you you're an agriculturalist, that is what you will be, then what? You probably are plumbing now. So plumb to the best of your ability and the next thing will open up. Our purpose is, if I will use the term purpose, is constantly revealing itself based on what we are needed to do at that particular point. And that makes sense for me because the use of the word leaders has made a large part of the population feel left out. I don't think I'm a leader because I don't run X. I don't own X.
Yeah.
We are all here because we need to be here. There's nobody who's here because they're a waste of space. I mean, there's a reason we're here. I was telling someone that a woman is born with all the eggs that she will ever have.
In life, yes.
In life. And I know we use, the male equivalent, but that is created on a need basis or on a regular basis. But a woman is born with all the eggs she will ever have. And all those eggs result, in my case, in 3 children. The others went away. There is a reason they were born. There's a reason I am one of the 4 that came from my mother. And the reason is not big and earth-shattering. It is to do what is I am doing now, to have the relationships that I have now with family and friends, and to leave people feeling human. The end. Mine is not big, bang, flashy things.
And the thing is, it actually is substantial. What you say is substantial. And I think what we're trying to say here is, when we think about legacies and think about the, gates of this world, people with big names, with big wealth attached to them, they're the only ones who have an impact in this world, is what we're saying. That's not what it's all about all the time. It looks different for different people. Peril, talk about being your own leader, because leadership also starts with you. You lead you, and then the rest follow.
Exactly.
Talk about this.
I always say that leadership begins with self-leadership. And when you come to self-leadership, of course, you are leading you. And I have a basic belief about leadership. My belief about leadership is that, you've had this debate, are leaders born, are leaders made, and that kind of debate. I don't think leaders are born, neither are they made. Personally, I believe leaders are summoned. And they are summoned, or they are called into existence by circumstances, by situations, by experiences that happen to them. And by doing that, when you rise to that occasion, you become the leader that is needed. So leaders become, my mother was left to take care of her siblings at a very early age, and at 9 years, she was a leader. Wow. She was fending for those little siblings that she had, and I can't say she was born or she was made. She was summoned by life. She was summoned by circumstances. She was summoned by that situation, and she became a leader. So you begin by leading yourself, but with that awareness that I'm in a certain context. I have been summoned to this context, and I need to rise to the occasion. So when now you get to the place of self-leadership has three components. The first one is self-knowledge, which is very, very important. Because self-knowledge is what I usually say leadership is about behaviors. You know, we have effective behaviors, we have ineffective behaviors. Now, when you come to self-leadership and self-knowledge, that's when you begin to realize this is working, this is not working, this is who I am, these are the weaknesses I have, these are my strengths, this, you know, you come into a lot of self-knowledge. And that helps you because it's like a toolbox. You're learning more and more of what you can pick up and use in certain scenarios. Because remember, you've been summoned by life into circumstances at times that you are very ill-equipped for, you know. Now, beyond self-knowledge, you come into self-direction. Now I have this knowledge, where am I going with it, you know? And self-direction is very powerful because from there now you get a lot of self-confidence, you get traction, you begin to see things are working. And I always say that direction is superior to speed. There are people who want to run fast nowhere. And I always say that direction is superior to speed. Find the direction first and then begin moving, you know. And then beyond self-direction, you then get to self-discipline. Because you now begin to realize that there is so much coming into play that I need to really come to a place of self-control. I have resources I need to control. I have emotions I need to control. I have impulses I need to control. These are things that I've become aware of. And so through that self-control, you now come to a place of so much of self-mastering, you know, and you're able now to bring your leadership to another level, you know. So when you lead yourself, now you can lead others. I think so. Yeah.
All right. Now, with the definition of leadership, when you hear of leadership, don't think about the CEO who is seated in the boardroom. Actually, you are the CEO of your own life. So what are you doing about it? That is what we're talking about today. So, Njeri, when we talk about this leadership, you come to that realization as Peril is putting across, but there seems to be an impediment. You get to a point where some people just want to go beyond it, or you feel you're not good enough. For example, Agatha says she walked into a room and felt inadequate, then realized, wait a minute, these are human beings like I am, but there are different scenarios that actually present the same. Talk about this and dealing with it.
Like I said, a lot of CEOs, what people don't know is they feel like a fraud. Right?
Yes.
You're dressed up, you're dressed the part, so you show up the part. But when you're there, at the back of your mind, you're wondering, why am I here? Why am I here?
Should I be here?
Should I be here? Am I as smart as they think I am?
Is this the imposter syndrome I hear a lot
Yes.
about?
Yeah,
Okay. Yes. So I was going to say it's called the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people have the imposter syndrome, right? And they feel like fraud. This is not who I am. I am here because I was able to perform. And because of my performance, then I got a promotion. And then now how did I even get myself here? What do I know about being a CEO? Gosh, there are like 50 people looking to me. What do I tell them? Right? And that is why you find that the rates of people with depression, overworking, stress, are actually CEOs. Because nobody speaks to CEOs. Because we are afraid of them. Because we think they know it all. Right? And because CEOs, what I do in my organization, I create a safe haven for them. And I tell them, come, let's talk. I know you're human. As human as the next person. You want to be seen. You want to be understood. Right? And you want people to say, yeah, you're not all that in a bag of chips. You're just an ordinary guy who was able to perform, right, and do well, right? So let us take a few steps back. What is the problem? You see, it's sometimes you get a promotion by chance, right? And you're overwhelmed and you're like, what do I do with this? And you continue to have this fraud, this imposter syndrome, you put on a mask consistently. But you see, when you get to that place, nobody tells you it's okay not to know everything. Leaders think that they should know everything. In fact, my greatest answer is, imagine I don't know, but I can find out. But I don't know. I don't have all the answers to life's problems, right? But I know I can find out. Leaders are unable to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness, like we are told, right? So when you find that there's a block, you've hit what we call the proverbial glass ceiling, is because you've gotten to a place where you cannot put on this mask anymore. Time's up. Checkmate. Something has got to give. So you find these people are hospitalized or the suicide, or because the pressure is too much and you have nowhere to release it. No one to release it to. Your family is falling apart completely, right? But you're still putting on this face that I'm okay, and you are making the money, you have the car, you have the home, you have everything. Now, what I say to people, to leaders especially, there's a lot of pressure in leadership. It's not easy. Leadership is not easy. Don't be fooled by anybody. Being a leader is not easy. There's responsibility that comes with it. I say leadership is held in trust, right? So if you have been given a position of leadership, remember it's a trust. And that trust comes with reliability and dependability. And if you don't know yourself, you don't know where you're going, you don't have a vision, where are you leading people to? Where are you taking them? Right? We all want to be leaders. You can be a leader anywhere, like she said. As a mother, you can be a leader in your home.
You are a leader in your
Yes.
home. Yes.
But you see, we think that because you're a housewife, you cannot be a leader. But women, mothers, stay-at-home mothers, are leaders because they're leading the family, their children, somewhere to a destiny. They want their children to be a certain kind of a way because they lead by example, right? I cannot tell my child that this is bad, yet I am doing the very same bad thing I am telling my child not to do. Many of the times we are giving lip service. Don't do, don't do, don't do, don't do. He said self-leadership. If I do not lead myself first, then I'm not a leader, right? I'm simply a follower, yapping and giving and speaking the right things and saying the right words.
And playing the
semantics. And you know
part.
we're very good at that.
Yes.
At playing the part. But I believe if I do not lead myself first, and let me tell you, you can tell a fraud when you see them. I can tell a fraud when I see them. I can just look at you and I tell you, okay, right. So you're trying to create this thing. It's a lie, right? You have an ability to see right through them, right? The sadness. I can look at you, Gladys, and tell you you're sad or you're happy simply because of the connection with your eyes, right? But a lot of the times we do not read into body language. We don't take time to see people. We are so caught up in talking and getting things done and finishing and moving on and growing and we're so caught up in that I don't take time to actually sit with Perry and really listen to what he is not saying. Not what he's saying, what he is not saying. So for you to be a leader, leaders do not do technical. Let's get things right.
Yes.
Leaders are not technical. Leaders show direction. They have a vision. They have seen 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead. So they tell people, this is my vision, and they get their technical team and say, show me how we get there.
Aha. So at this point, Jerry, let me stop you. And I think that would be a good way to actually take a break. Even as you think on that, what kind of a leader are you? Do you have your technical team behind you leading the way, which means you've got to have a vision first, which is what Jerry is saying. And before we take that break, remember we had asked you that question of the day. What would you like to be remembered for? Some of you already talking to us. I have Brian here who says, being who I am. Mark Ruto says, having made planet Earth a better place. And Trent says, as the man that showed up every time. Interesting. All right. Keep them coming through. That hashtag is new normal. But for now, we take it back to the band even as we take a short break here on Your World. We'll be right back.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I go by the name of Amos. We're going to do some little bit of country music. Baby, lock them doors and turn the lights down low. Put your music on the soft slow. Baby, we ain't got no place to go. I hope you understand. I've been thinking about this all day long. Never felt a feeling quite strong. I can't believe how much it turns me on just to be your man. Come on, baby, lock the doors and turn the lights down low. Put your music on the soft and slow. And baby, we ain't got no place to go. I hope you understand. I've been thinking about this all day long. Never felt a feeling quite this strong. I can't believe how much it turns me on just to be your man. There's no hurry, don't you worry. We can take our time. Come a little closer, let's go over what I have in mind. Baby, lock them doors and turn the lights down low. Put some music on the soft and slow. And baby, we ain't got no place to go. I hope you understand. I've been thinking about this all day long. Never felt a feeling quite this strong. I can't believe how much it turns me on just to be your man. Ain't nobody. There ain't nobody ever loved somebody the way that I love you. Wait alone now, you don't know how long I've wanted to. Baby, lock them doors and turn the lights down low. Put her music on the soft and slow. And baby, we ain't got no place to go. I hope you understand. I've been thinking about this all day long. Never felt a feeling that was quite as strong. I can't believe how much it turns me on just to be your man. I can't believe how much it turns me on just to be your man.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Gladys Gachanja. This is your world, the conversation today, creating and leaving a lasting legacy. And I love how that is being broken down today for us to all understand we've got something to offer. But for us to offer, we've got to have something to give. So how do you enhance that? That is what we're talking about this morning. Agatha Juma, co-founder and story curator at Engage Kenya, Peril John Alube, who is a leadership and development expert, and of course we're joined by Njeri Mushono, who is a Marvin of transformative leadership. Guys, thank you for helping us figure out this thing. At times it sounds bigger than life, but really we now understand it actually is what we can do on a personal basis. Now, there's something I came across. It's by somebody I actually listen to a lot. He's called Jay Shetty. He's an author and life coach. And he says, your passion is for you. Your purpose is for others. And he goes on to say, when you use your passion in the service of others, it becomes a purpose. Do you believe so, Agatha?
I truly believe that. Because I was telling John and Jerry, when we started Engage, it was selfish. We have a passion for people and where they come from and their stories, to understand them. And I guess if you can call it purpose, because we didn't set out to set this platform that provides people with a space for them to share their stories and experiences, to inform, to inspire, and to influence others. So I fully agree with that. Now that it clicks, you don't set out to have this purpose, find your purpose in life. Your purpose finds you by, I like this, by doing your passion, following your passion journey passionately.
Oh, look at that. I saw the light bulb literally come on here.
Yes, yeah.
So now it's coming together.
It is coming together, but even before it came together, I guess it was still working. And I will keep repeating this. I think we feel that when we give a word to something, we understand it, and those who don't have the words for it are not doing it or understanding it. It's just clicked when you said you do your passion and then purpose is what comes out of it. I have been doing it. I just didn't have the English for it. And 98% of the Kenyan population may not understand purpose and passion, but there's teachers in kindergarten, primary, who they're teaching, they're transforming lives, and they may not see that as purpose, but they're doing it. Yeah. So let's do it without necessarily putting a tag to it, because I also know many people who profess to be purpose finders and purpose coaches, but it's the word that they have, not the interpretation for it. When I look at where I grew up around the family, I have aunties who may not understand legacy and purpose, but my Auntie Njeri is the kindest, most generous person there ever was. Her education is not much, but man, there's always people in her house. There's always children who gather around her. She may not know it, but that's purpose. Yeah. She will, when she does go, because we all will, there's children who will remember that every time there was no food at home, they went to Shosho Jerry's, as they call her, and there was always food, and she didn't ask questions. So the words help us determine, frame it, but let's do. Yeah, let's do. Let's do.
Yeah, Peril, I kind of feel like what Agatha is trying to say is that the definition of these words, purpose, legacy, destiny, sounds so huge and has been associated with certain people or certain spheres that people feel it does not describe who they are or what they do on a daily. So can we just break this down? When we say purpose, define it simply.
Okay. I'm not one given to large words, though I'm very academic. I love reading, I love studying, I own a very, very rich library, and I'm inspired by that. But purpose really is just why you're here. Of course, passion is what I'm good at, what I love doing, you know, and eventually how I do it, you know. It's a drive. It's something that, it's a fire on the inside. It's what keeps me so animated, you know. I'm passionate. Then, as I'm doing this, for example, I'm very passionate about fast driving. I love fast cars. I love driving fast. It makes me happy. It brings out skills in me that I did not have, and that kind of a thing, you know. But as you're doing that, you then begin to see that there's a bigger picture to all this. And that's why purpose now comes in, because purpose basically is the why, you know. Why am I doing this? You know, what's the reasoning behind this? What's the big picture, you know? What have I been called to deliver into this space, you know? So I love the quote of one man who says that the bigness of a man is determined by the cause he lives for and the price he's willing to pay for its achievement, you know? So I was not born with all these big words of cause and price and all this. Yeah. But as I'm moving through life, I begin to have circumstances that are demanding things out of me, which Muhammad Ali used to call body blows. You know, you don't see how much life is beating you, but life beats you every day. And at times, life will beat you bigger, harder, and at times it will beat you lesser. And as life beats you, you have to wake up the next day and think what am I going to do today? I was bet down yesterday. I was knocked down by life yesterday. I can't feed my family. I have debts. I have mobile loans. I mean, this economy, Christmas is here. I have nothing for my family. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those are body blows. That for some of us, they really keep going on and going on and going on. And SMEs and people out there face these things, you know. And when they wake up the next day, they must dig deep again to find purpose,
The reason.
and passion.
Yeah.
The reason. And just the fire to live again. Why am I going to do this again? You know? And so in all the different spaces we are in, for example, in the space called church, there are people who are really trying to help people in that space. Just come back again with what is your purpose? Why are you here? Can you fight again? In the space we are in when we deal with SMEs and we deal with leaders and all this, because leadership is the greatest driver of every other thing. It drives strategy, it drives companies and all this, you know. So we get them to the place and point where they can realize that I can come back into the ring because I cannot stay in the wings.
Ooh.
I have to fight again today, and I have to bring my best game, you know, to what life is throwing at me. Otherwise, you surrender and you die. You know, that's the way it is. That's the way life has been put together. And so, as Agatha is saying, we have big words and we have these big definitions and everything. But for me, when I meet a soldier out here, you know, like when I was parking my car and he says, Mkubwa, chai tu. You know, can I connect with that desire that he has just asked? Can I feel him? You know, because leadership is connection. Leadership is stories. Leadership is not being fake. Leadership is you coming to the play every day, dealing with the cards that you have been dealt to make the best. Yeah, so
Wow,
I think that's how we can just break it down, you know. And from there on, I think for me, I have learned how to just connect with people, connect with them. It's not what I know, it's what they need that eventually will draw out of me what they need. Yeah.
Somebody once said, people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget what you said. True?
Yeah.
And that in itself is what we're trying to say, the impact that you leave behind. How do people remember you? At times you don't go about your life expecting that people remember you, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so when you're defining your why, how does now that become this thing that now imparts on people in a way that they say, Enyewe, I used to know Njeri.
I get that a lot.
I hear you.
Now, it's very interesting. For me, I was employed, so I'm a lawyer by training, 18 years, so I know something about the law.
Yes.
So I'm a psychologist by training again. So I have worked across very many different sectors, private sector, public sector. So I've worked for Gava. So I know how the minds of Gava work. In fact, Gava was my last stint.
Employer.
And that is when I got my call and I left the government. But I believe that had I not been there, had I not gotten the opportunity to get there, I would not be who I am today. Right? So when I got there, I mean, having been in private sector, then you got to government, you're like, what am I doing here? Right? For a while, and I was like, okay. I remember my boss actually asking me, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I also don't know. So you and me both, we are on the same boat. Yeah. But I know I am here for a purpose and for a season. That I was purely, totally, completely, absolutely convinced that I am there for a season and for a reason. And I will stay until I find out the reason. Because I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that everything is part of God's master plan. Right? So I stayed. And from staying there, I saw so many things that really ticked me off. Especially when it came to leadership. And I'd be like, why can't somebody do something about this? Why can't,
Yeah.
why can't this? And I remember hearing, why can't you do something
About it.
And I'm like, who, me? What do I know? I mean, me, I know I was created to be employed for the rest of my life. Earn a salary, go home, be happy, you know, and then die. Then that's the sequence, right? So I was wondering, I live and then what? I, I don't know anything how to do things outside there like others. People thrive out there. But for me, I believed then my purpose was to remain in employment and rise through the ranks. But then when I got this call and I had to leave, I was like a fish out of water. And I'm like, hey, where do I start? What do I do? And like she said very well, Agatha said very well, she said, you fumble before you actually get your footing. I don't know why people think that you have to get everything perfect. Leadership is not perfection. Leadership is learning every day. Make sure that you learn something new every day. Leaders read. They read a lot. They challenge the status quo. They ask questions. They're not complacent in nature, right? They always, for me, I say, if for a leader, you will never change anything as long as you tolerate it. What you tolerate, you can never change, right? So that is my motto. I cannot tolerate bad manners. I have to stop it, right? But we have gotten into a society where tolerance, let's tolerate, bad manners, let's tolerate. That's not leadership. Leadership is, and let's semantics again, words. What do I mean tolerance? Tolerance, we are different, I don't judge. Put that aside. But what I'm talking about is toleration of certain morals, behaviors, attitudes, right? Some things you don't tolerate them. As a leader, you have to have a value system. You have to find out what your values are, because your values are your true north. Your values guide you. Because there are certain things based on your values, you're like, that one I will never do. Just because it's outside of my value system. And your values, your core values convince you of who you are supposed to be. Now, when you start asking the question, why am I doing this? Am I doing this so that I can get paid? That's a wrong motivator. So when you don't get paid, then what happens?
COVID came and hit us, and people had to take huge,
so do you quit?
Huge income
like
losses.
He said, when times get tough, do you give up? Right? And when these times get tough, that is when you realize whether you're doing you're doing for the right reasons. Right? The motivation behind why you do what you do. Let me tell you something. What got you there, right, is what is going to sustain you. If you got there because of making a lot of money, I assure you, when the money stops coming, you will leave very fast. Right? So you have to keep asking yourself, why am I here? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And let me tell you, one of the things that Miles Monroe, the late Miles Monroe, who is one of my mentors, said, make yourself such a person of value that people will pay you just to be in your presence. Right? So you don't chase money, you chase value, then money comes.
Good one. Let's stop you at that point and take that feedback we'd asked. Remember, would like you to chime in on this conversation. How would you want to be remembered? How or what would you want to be remembered for? Talk to us. That hashtag is a new normal. And I hear you're talking to us. Do we have the feedback? Excellent. All right, so we have Wataga who says that I was a solution. All right, thank you, Wataga. Mark Rutter says, having made planet Earth a better place. I think we had this one before. Another here from Maish Miner who says, my humbleness. Interesting. Tell us more. Marguerite says, I would like to be remembered for the lives I touched and transformational impact there, or how I transformed their lives, I guess, and what they became. Thank you, Margaret. Another here from Tom Linson said, I would want to be remembered for my discipline in life. Wow, that's something. Discipline. Eunice Kamal says that I touched and changed a life. Thank you, Eunice. Lorna says, love and kindness towards humanity. I think this is what Agatha is really pushing for. And Mula here who says, good vibes all through. Yeah, maisha ni kujinais, my friends. Thank you for engaging us. Remember that hashtag is a new normal. And I hear the importance of understanding your why, which gives you direction. But even as you understand and know where you need to go, with every season comes changes. And some of the things that you knew that were familiar have to fall off, and you have to take up others that will help you in the next season. Agatha, what have you learned about letting go and being okay with it?
Oh, that's hard. Letting go is hard because we've been socialized that we need to keep getting more. And you are determined by what you know and what you have. So for me, unlearning has been the hardest thing. Unlearning things that my parents, in their wisdom, thought is how things need to be. And I remember my parents' frustration with, you need to go to school, you need to get to college, and then you need to get a job, because that is how successful people are. And so unlearning that success is not necessarily in a job, or unlearning and fighting the need to let go of a job that paid good money to pursue this storytelling thing which was not clear even to me. I just knew it made me so happy, working with people to give them a voice, for them to tell their story to themselves first, because you can't tell your story to somebody else before you tell it to yourself. And then working with corporate organizations on storytelling for leadership and storytelling for business. As I said earlier, it keeps unfolding, but just letting go of what the external anchors that we believe make us. And COVID shattered that. That this is what determines who you are. It is where you work, the car you drive, the friends you hang around, the church that you go to and you lead fellowship and you lead mission, or the bar you go to and you're at the head of the table and people look up to you. So for me, what I have learned is being anchored internally by the fact that you exist. And I am a Christian, and I believe in God. And this God that we believe in created everyone, even those who are not Christians. So I will depart slightly and allow the pastor and Jerry to focus on that religion bit. But to know that we were created, hence we are. And even that homeless person is as much as I am. And I did nothing to deserve to live under a roof, live in Nairobi, be able to take my children to school and drive a car, that the person who had to go to Shags because of COVID didn't do. And if it happened to me, I would not be any less of a human being. And for me, that has been the power of stories and listening to people's many stories to realize that we are. And the ones who thrive are the ones who believe in their isness. It is there in me. I just need to see it. And it is not attached to the things around me, the titles I have, and neither is it attached to anyone else. So there's a quote I read recently that, I loved. It is not your story that holds you back. It is not telling it, number one, to yourself and to others, that holds you back.
Think on it. I can see people nodding for. Yeah, I hear you. Being intentional is what I'm hearing from Agatha. So you've got to be intentional about the things that need to define you and things that can say you can stand for. At times, you've got to be intentional about the networks for you to go to the next level. At times, you've got to be intentional about the friends, perhaps. What have you seen that is so obvious in every person? It doesn't matter your background.
Okay, I'll maybe get a bit personal here,
Please do, please do.
Not an easy thing for men. You see, it comes naturally for others. I've been married for 25, 26 years now. 2 children. My daughter got married last week.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, and very interesting journey. I want to talk about that just to pick it from where she left it at and then being intentional. I usually talk about a monkey story. Monkeys only make movement by jumping from tree to tree. And when a monkey is making movement, and I'll connect it with my story a little bit, it leaves the old branch and gets suspended in the middle for a while. And it looks so fast, but we never see that suspension. And then it reaches forth to a new branch. And that is a story of life. In my story of getting married, moving from branch to branch, moving from season to season, being suspended, feeling lost, finding yourself, leaving the old, reaching for the new, getting comfortable with the old, being kicked out of the old and arriving into the new. I have come to describe it as an adventure, because by the time we're getting married, for example, in our world, there was the pre-wedding.
Yes.
Where I call it robbery without violence, okay? You didn't come with a sock, you didn't come with a tie, you give this much and the other, And so when we're getting married, we just made up our minds with my wife that we're not going to go that way. And it happened. Then we began to raise our children. And then we came to a decision we need to homeschool them. It was not popular in our day and time, but it happened. Then it comes into just different seasons. My wife was employed in an NGO. She's a community developer. But because of things that we need to do, she has to leave employment. I have to leave where I am. We have to pursue a certain direction in life. It was not normal, And so that intentionality. And then she's talked about COVID, because there are so many seasons. I mean, I have moved from towns. I have relocated to new towns. I was only employed once for 9 months. I've never been employed. And with that kind of intentionality, you come to spaces and places where you begin to realize this is an old branch, this is a new branch. The old is comfortable. It has held me so far. The new has no promise. It just looks like it can, but I have not tested it before. So the release of the old and you getting suspended in there when you know nothing, people don't understand you, family doesn't figure you out, people don't call you, your phone goes silent.
You even think it has a problem.
Yes, you keep checking it. Is the phone working? Is it broken, And eventually just you reaching into new spaces. That is something that I've come to discover. You have to be very, very intentional about it. In this last season of my life, I submitted myself to a coach, a much younger person than myself. And I talked to him, I told him, I need you to walk with me this journey because I had just turned 50 and there's all these, different phases of life. And we would fight in the coaching sessions because of the branches I'm holding. And he's saying, you need to let go and get to this new branch. And we went through it and through it. And if he was not a patient person, if he was not a personal friend, and he told me, we are going to discard all our familiarities and we're going to focus on this. Then some point reached, and he told me, you are now ready. You've let go of the old branch. You've gone through your suspension and insecurities. You're holding on to something new. Run with it. And to me, that is intentionality. That I'm going to always be faced with these different scenarios in life, but I'm always going to make up my mind to come out of this suspended state and to move into the next phase of my life, Because I don't begin just by thinking, I want to have this legacy in life. It's not how we live. No. Yeah. Legacy is hindsight. Yeah. There are things that you look behind you and you say, oh, I did that well. Oh, I've been married 25 years. Oh, my goodness, I've raised kids. But you remember days when instead of raising your kids, you know, there are times my kids will tell me, Dad, you need help. You need help. You don't apologize. You never say you're sorry. You know, and it's true. And I'm growing in those areas. And at some point they'll tell me, Dad, you have improved. Imagine now you can talk about your feelings. Imagine, you know, and that's the intentionality we look at in life when we live it. But what I can say is, where do you get help? As you leave the old and transition into new spaces, as COVID happened, as all these things keep happening in our nation, where do you get the help? And I think that's why we have such a cry in society, because very few people are reaching out to others to help.
Yeah, very well said. At that point, I'd like us to take another short break, but when we come back, and Jerry, I'd like you to talk about something that I know is also a very hard thing to do, that is also very important to add on to what Peril said, knowing and setting your boundaries in life. We'll get to that when we come back, but for now, we go back to the band, even as we enjoy this Feel Good Friday and also have that introspection as we understand the kind of legacy we would like to leave behind. Take it away.
Heading the south to the land of the pines, I'm coming my way into North Carolina. The sharing of the road, I pray to God I see hell. And I made it down the coast in 17 hours, picking me a bouquet of Durgo flowers. And I'm hopping for Raleigh where I can see my baby tonight. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. And rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a serpent train. Hey, mama, rock me. Running from the cold. And running from the cold, up in New England, I was born to be a fiddler in an old trend string band. My baby plays a guitar, I pick a banda now. Oh, North Country winners keep getting me down. I lost my money playing poker, so hard to leave town. But I ain't a tiny bird to living their old life no more. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. And rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a serpent train. Hey, mama, rock me, heading down south. Heading down south to the land of the pines. I'm timing my way into North Carolina. I'm staring up the road, I pray to God I see alert. And I made it down the coast in 17 hours, picking me a bouquet of Durgo flowers. And I'm hopping for Raleigh, where I can see my baby tonight. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. And rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a serpent train. Hey, mama, rock me. Walking to the south, our Roanoke, caught a truck out of Philly, had a nice long took. But he's heading west from the Cumberland Gap to Johnson City, Tennessee. And I gotta get a move on before the sun. I hear my baby calling money, mine. I know that she's the only one. And if I die in Raleigh, at least her will die free. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock. And rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a serpent train. Hey, mama, rock me.
Thank you for staying with Your World. My name is Gladys Gachanja, having such an enriching conversation this Friday on how to leave a lasting legacy and one that is actually impactful. And I've learned so many things as it is so far, and I see you talking to us even on the social media about the same. So So at this point, if you can have that feedback, please, on air so that we can see what you're saying. Benjamin says, touching the lives of millions positively is how he would want to be remembered. Okay. Rachel says, having impacted lives and being a kind person. Thank you, Rachel. And another here from Choya who says love, compassion, and kindness towards everyone. I love the fact that people are being very intentional even in the wording of what they are sharing with us. So yeah, keep them coming through. That hashtag is new normal. Still with Agatha Juma, John Alube, and of course Njeri Vushonu. And before we went to break, Njeri, I mentioned there's something that I have learned and I think is also very important in this journey that we speak of, and to leave the impact or impact others positively, and is really knowing your boundaries, because at times you feel like you need to carry everyone with you and do everything for you to be this important person that you think you should become. But the truth is, just in like anything else, boundaries are important, aren't they?
Boundaries are everything, right? But just to add on to what he said about intentionality and change, I say change is the only constant. Change is the only constant. COVID, people were not prepared for change when COVID came. And that's why it hit us so hard, because we were all in our comfort zone. Comfort, comfort, comfort. So when COVID came, it was like, what is happening? What's going on? And then we're being told to change the way we live, the way we see things. And it becomes very difficult because we don't like change. We all like staying in the comfort zone. But I always say, there is no bridge between two peaks. You hit one peak, you have to go down and climb again. Right? So there's no bridge between two peaks, right? So people need to always remember that there is no bridge between two peaks. Once you make one you hit one accomplishment, imagine utashuka tena, then uanze tena kupanda, and it's not easy. It's not easy. Now, when it comes to boundaries, boundaries are critical, especially in any relationship. For any relationship to thrive, be it marriage, be it parents and their children, be it any relationship, you must establish boundaries. A boundary is like a fence around you. It's self-protective, right? People go around having expectations of you. And you ask, why would you have an expectation of me? Based on what? Did I communicate that this is what I will do? Now, people are very afraid to communicate their boundaries. Why? Because they think they will offend the other person. And we are living in a society where we want to be liked. I'm not saying I want to be hated. That's not the point.
It's human nature to want to be liked.
Yes. But I will not go out of my way to make sure that you like me, because I know I am not a bad person. I actually know I'm a good person. So I don't need you to keep validating me. But we go around needing validation, needing people to tell you, oh, Gladys, you're a nice person. Oh, Agatha, you're a nice thing. Oh, Alube, that's the easier name. Alube, oh, you're a nice guy. We want to constantly hear that because it tickles our ears. It does something to our egos. Now, if I tell Agatha, excuse me, you have crossed a boundary, there we are not going, then it becomes a fight. And I'm like, why are we fighting? I've just told you, these are my parameters of engagement, and beyond here, I am not engaging. Our society and the way we were brought up, we were just saying here, our parents had the tendency of walking in, out, anytime, anyhow. You know, you can just enter, pick, go, come back, you know.
In our rooms, you mean?
No,
or just
it's
like,
for instance, in a marriage.
In a marriage,
right?
oh.
So you can come in and out as you please, right? Which is wrong. It's not right. We need to establish certain boundaries in relationships, even friendships. You need to establish boundaries, because then it makes the relationship very healthy. So you know what is expected of you and what is expected of me, right? You cannot expect me to meet your expectations, yet I had not communicated that I would meet them. Do you get what I mean? Right?
Yes.
Even with a marriage, even with my husband, we have boundaries. And I have to respect those boundaries for the relationship to work. Right? I just can't keep getting in and out as I please. I have to respect him. He has to respect me. There's a certain way of living, and therefore the relationship becomes healthy. Many of the times, especially because of our culture and the way we have been brought up, people of the village, they think now because Gladys is working at NTV,
Yes.
she's the breadwinner for the entire community. Right?
Yes.
So let's assume you're my client, you come to me and you tell me, hey, Jerry, you know, I have to support my grandkids, my brother's great-grandmother's child. You don't even know
Black
that
tax, black tax.
exactly.
Oh,
So you
wow.
have to pay everybody's school fees. And I ask you, why do you have to do that? Oh, you know, I'm like, I know what. I'm like, so who said you must do it? And then you were like, nobody said, but I'll feel bad. So we get to the core of the issue, which is guilt. You're not doing it because you want to do it. You're doing it because of the guilt that comes with you not doing it. Right? So you're not doing it even from a place of love.
So are we saying if you were to create a boundary in that example, you can still live or impact positively?
In fact, that's the only way you will impact positively.
Because the worry is that if I don't do it, then watu watasema huwa siwasaidi.
And now, Gladys, let me tell you something about leadership. Leadership is not a game to be liked. You're not going there for people to say, nakupenda, oh, I like you. If that's what you're out there to do, then you will never make a change. My journey to where I am today, I have been called all sorts of names. You have tags. Some even some I laugh. Some like, guy, people are mean. You know, all sorts. Yeah. But they make you stronger. Yeah. But the thing is, I'm not going to change because of what you think about me. That's your opinion. Everybody has theirs. And that's okay. What we need is to respect one another. Right? If you don't have boundaries in your life, you will not achieve that which you want to. Because boundaries come with discipline. Discipline comes with, this is the modus operandi. These are my core issues. This is how I will engage. So if you don't have boundaries and say, I will discipline myself, I will not go beyond here, because if I go beyond here, I veer off direction. So boundaries are critical in every single relationship. At the workplace, we can laugh, but to kumbuke, there are boundaries. Don't overstep your boundaries. When it comes to honor where honor is supposed to be, we don't understand the definition of honor. Honor has nothing to do with liking. For me to honor you, I don't have to like you, Gladys. Right? The Bible says, honor your father and mother. Right? Yeah. I might not, and this is I love my parents, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, many of the times people confuse, I don't like my mom, I don't like my dad. And I'm like, what does that have to do with you honoring them? It has nothing to do with you honoring them. Honoring them is giving the respect that is due to them, because they did the best they could with what they had.
I hear
right? You. So you honor them because of who they are in your life. He could be a drunkard, he could be a thief. You don't like the behaviors, but there's no way in the word, which is what I subscribe to, where it says, honor them if they are well behaved, or honor them if they do good things.
They are perfect.
No,
okay.
It just says honor. It's blanket, right? So when you have boundaries, you're like, I will honor him for who he is and what he has achieved. Does it mean I have to like him? No, not necessarily. I will honor Agatha. I have not started Engage, right? She has done something. She has made an impact, right? I have not done Engage. So, Pretel, why would I not honor her? And I look at her and I'm like, wow, chick, you have done well for yourself, you know? And she truly has, right? But we confuse this way. If I tell her that, I have minimized myself. Now that's not leadership. There's enough room for all of us to thrive.
Oh, I love that.
But like she said, the thing is, this title that we give ourselves, coach, I don't know what. Imagine it's all it's become a commodity. It's cheap. It's been cheapened by us because you think that if you then now are a coach and therefore you are better than other people. That's not true. But where do you coach from? Do you coach from your own life or from a book? I coach from my life. I teach from what I've experienced. And that's the best teacher. I have walked a mile in your shoes. Therefore, I know something about what you're saying. Right?
I hear you. Jerry, allow me at this point because we need to actually end the show. But even as we close this, I'd like each and every of you to address that question. How do I leave a positive impact or use my sphere of influence to positively impact those around me? Agatha?
I'll say that all we are promised is now. I could walk out here and be hit by a car. So if I'm waiting for next year to do big things to change the world, tomorrow is not promised. How to live, L-E-A-V-E, an impact is to L-I-V-E, live intentionally. That in every moment, there's no more Agatha left to live now. If I have been invited by Gladys for this show and I am able to make it, I bring my full self. I'm not worried about, do we have dengus for tonight? Do we have... So how you live an impact is how you live every moment, because by God, that is all we have if COVID has taught us anything.
Oh, yeah. Very well said. Peril.
How do I leave an impact? I think for me, one, I need to be a student of life. I need to study life. I need to study people. For example, one of my, the people who impresses me so much is Angela Merkel, who has just stepped out of being the chancellor in Germany. 16 years, 17 years. I mean, she came into power when George Bush was there, Tony Blair. There was no iPhone, there was no Twitter, and you can imagine what she has been able to achieve. And when I study her life, somebody asked her, we notice you're wearing the same suit like you are in the other and the other and the other. She said, well, I'm a public servant, I'm not a model,
Eish.
And for me, that's a lesson. What's the lesson? Simplicity. Be comfortable in your skin and learn on how you can... There are 3 behaviors that I think are very important for me, even as we impact. The first one is humility. Humility is for me to listen and to receive feedback from others, honest feedback. It takes a lot of humility. The second one is courage. Courage is for me to have difficult conversations. I need to have difficult conversation if there's going to be any impact, any change, any deep dive, because we are such surface people, so veneer and event-based. We are not conversational-based, And then going beyond courage, I need a lot of discipline. Because to change needs discipline. Yeah. And as Winston Churchill said, to change often is to be perfect, So you must get to that place of allowing change to continually keep happening. And for that to happen, a lot of discipline. So pick this wardrobe of behaviors. Put them on. It's not out there.
Yeah.
Put them on. And as you put them on a daily basis, that becomes my influence and my impact.
All right. Now my director is on my case, and Jerry, briefly, as we close.
Briefly, I'd like to say, like Miles Monroe said, the wealthiest place on earth is the cemetery. Why? Because many dreams are buried there. People who had music, they never sang. People who had stories to tell, they never shared them. People who had something, a gift in their hand, and they never used it. So for me, I would encourage everybody, first, find out who you are. Secondly, why you're here, and what you can do to leave the world better than you found it. Right? And to cap everything all up is to say that you are an assignment. You are not an accident. You're not here because by accident, or you said, oh, I was a child out of wedlock. No, that's irrelevant. The fact that you were born and you are alive means that you have an assignment. So your role is to find it. And I'm here. Reach out. I'm ready to listen and to walk this journey with you.
Thank you, Jerry Moshono, Marvin of Transformative Leadership, Agatha Juma, co-founder and story curator at Engage Kenya, and of course, Peril John Alube, who is a leadership and development expert. Thank you guys for being part of this amazing conversation, one that all of us need to have on a personal level so that at least you can know where to go or how to moving forward. And at this point, we are coming to the end of the show. But before we do, remember it's a Feel Good Friday. So I'm going to hand you over to Grace and Sam Ochi one more time before I bid you farewell. Take it away.
Roma servant, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is older, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, and blowing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place where I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Murmur, take me home. Country roads are all my memories gather around her. Minus lady, stranger to blue waters, dark and dusty, painted on their sky, misty taste of moonshine. Virginia, Mountain Mama, and take me home. Country roads, take me home to the place where I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads are all my memories gathered around her. Minus lady, stranger to blue waters, and dark and dusty, painted on their sky, misty taste of moonshine. and teardrops in my eye. Country roads, take me home to the place where I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Murmur, take me home. Country roads, and country roads, take me home to the place where I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Murmur, and take me home. Country roads.
Point. Country music is also one of my weaknesses. Now, most of my friends know that I love reggae music, but country music also comes a close second. Well done, and thank you guys for being part of this Feel Good Friday. And Sam, tell us more about yourself. You're a music artist. When did you start doing this?
I started doing this in January
Of this year?
of this year, yes.
Oh.
But I've been singing country all along, but not professionally. But now, yeah, I'm diving into the game. Yeah.
Who did you watch doing this so that they inspire you?
There's a country artist called Josh Turner, and also here in Kenya there's Elvis.
Yes,
And,
there is.
Jeff, yeah.
Oh, look at you. You must be an old soul, as they call it.
Yeah,
All
yes,
right.
definitely.
Okay, so apart from country music, what else do you do?
I'm a multi-instrumentalist. I play drums, I play the keyboard, and I play guitar. And also, yeah, I'm a student at Jomo Kenyatta University.
Yeah.
In my fourth year, I'm just finishing.
Oh, excellent. All right. Super duper to have you this morning. And of course, we have the lady in the house, Grace. Yes, so you are a music artist. How long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been singing since I was a child, but professionally,
Yeah.
I started doing it this year in May.
Uh-huh. Do you have a specific genre?
Well, I lean more towards love songs in pop and Afro pop and R&B and soul.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And even as we get into the festivities, is business looking good? Are you guys like engaged, you know? Yeah?
Yeah, currently, yeah, there's business because definitely we play at a club called County to County. Yeah, so that's where we are located currently.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So even as we go to the festivities, I know guys are a bit worried about the pandemic. We all need to be careful. But then again, as we take in these festivities and be grateful for the year that has been, what would you like to tell guys? This is your time to tuma salamu.
Okay. Yeah, that's kuna watu wanawatch probably. Yes. Big shout out to my family.
Yeah.
Watching. Big shout out to my bandmates, Duaro Band, Artsy Culture Band, and everybody.
Okay. All right. How about you, Grace?
I also want to give my greetings to my family, my dad, my cousins, and also my friends who are my support system, and all my fans. Thank you so much, and I hope you tune in to watch this. We'll see you another time.
Super. Thank you guys for being part.
Give social.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. How can we reach you?
So, okay, but you can find me on Instagram at Sam True African, on Facebook at Samoti, on YouTube at Samoti.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically everywhere.
All right.
Samoti.
For you, Grace?
For me, on Instagram, it's Nyokafi.
Yeah.
On YouTube, it's Rose Cafe. My channel is called Rose Cafe.
Okay.
And also on Facebook, I'm not really active on Facebook.
All right. Thank you guys again for being part of this Feel Good Friday. You really put in the mood, the festive mood into the show. We appreciate you guys. And as I mentioned earlier, as we were starting off the show, this is the last live Your World show this year as the team takes a break for the holidays. However, this is also marks my last assignment here as your morning show host. Now, the show started out in April of 2020, as you remember, amidst a pandemic that threw us all off, but created and illuminated the need to have conversations that enriched your health and wellness. As such, Your World was born, and since then, we've had the privilege to host it with my colleague and boss, Joseph Warungu, and former colleague, Victor Kiprop. Now, I must say, it has been a pleasure engaging with you on this platform. And just like you, as a team, we have learned so much through all the guests we met along the way, be it the patients, the doctors, or even the specialists in various fields. Let me take this opportunity to say a big thank you for allowing us into your lives and homes every morning, and even suggesting amazing topics that made this platform that much more enriching. As I mentioned, this is my last time hosting Your World, but the show continues into the new year, and you shall meet your new host soon. Plus, the content can only get better as we strive to inform, entertain, and most importantly, educate you on various matters. Now, on a personal level, I keep saying it takes a village, and I think you've had a lot of that today. So let me take this opportunity to thank this village. I'll start off with the bigger team that works behind the scenes to ensure we are on air every morning. I salute you guys. Really, you are the real MVPs. To my various bosses and colleagues who have enabled me in different ways to be able to serve our viewers, I thank you for the support. Now, to everyone else who has supported me on this journey, whether by service, prayer, words of wisdom, and counsel, I will be forever grateful. And of course, to you, our viewers, without you, we would not be on air, literally. So I'd like to thank you for always making time to tune in and engage with us in various ways. And your support has been immense over the years and greatly appreciated. After the discussion we've had today on leaving a lasting legacy, one that I'll always carry with me, let me leave you with a quote by Peter Stroppel. He is a business strategist. He says, "A legacy is not necessarily about leaving something for people. It's leaving something in people." So at this point, I say goodbye, God bless, and happy holidays. Okay, the director is telling me there's some people who would like to say hi. Hey, Elsie, hi. And I see Agatha. These are the show producers. Elsie is one of the producers for Your World. Hi. Okay, guys, you need to unmute. These are the things you tell our guests on a daily. Now it's your turn. Can we hear them? All right. Can we hear Agatha? All right. Okay. In the meantime, I think this is where we start getting our house in order, but would like to, okay, they came with cake and they want to make me cry, and this is the part that I did not want to do or even have to think about, but hey. Rose is also one of the producers here on Your World. Allow me to calm down because the sun, literally, the lights feel like sun in my face at this point. And I appreciate you guys. So, tukate keki ya kusema kwaheri. All right. Do we have a mic that we can give Rose, perhaps? Okay. So, all right. Give me yours. I think yours would be a better bet. Imekwama. Aya, vuta hapo. All right. There we go. Aya, sawa basi. So, Rosie is our producer. Hey, tuambie kwa nini tunakata keki. Even as I say goodbye. I guess you can also say it.
Appreciate you, Gladys.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure working with you. I wish you all the best.
Asante sana, asante sana. And
Everybody here.
asante sana. And I think this is what I would say. Cheers, guys. It's been real. Thank you again for your continued support. So, tukate keki sio ugali jamedi tule. You can play as we go along.
Kata keki sio ugali. Kata keki sio ugali. Kata keki sio ugali. Kata keki sio ugali. Kata keki. Kata keki. Kata keki sio ugali. 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 Kata keki. Kata keki. Kata keki sio ugali. 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 Kata keki. Kata keki. Kata keki sio ugali.